Let's talk about words. Because words are not just words. They're not empty sounds or passive ink on paper. They shape perceptions. They forge narratives. They build consensus or they destroy it. They are how empires speak without ever raising a sword, and how those empires justify it when they do. Words are weapons. They decide who is the victim and who is the threat. They decide whose death deserves global mourning and whose murder gets tucked between the commercial breaks. Words are shields. They conceal state violence behind layers of sanitized jargon. They take the sting out of atrocity, turn war crimes into military operations, and make occupation sound like security. Words are strategy. They don't just describe the world, they program how you see it. They slip past your logic and nestle inside your instincts, and once they're in, they begin to whisper. They whisper that some people are just dangerous by nature, that some regions are always volatile, and that some lives, some nations, just come with more bloodshed than others. And here's the truth no Western newsroom will admit. In the hands of Western media, words become the front line of warfare. Not metaphorically, literally. They prepare you for war. They soften you to suffering. They make foreign cruelty feel distant and domestic violence feel justified. Because long before the missiles fly, before the tanks roll in, before the sanctions cripple populations, there is always a media campaign. There's always a language shift. There's always a vocabulary designed to make violence look just like virtue. On the battlefield, it's not in Gaza, it's not in Kyiv, it's not in Tehran. It's your mind, your perception, your instincts, your ability to separate truth from propaganda. Now, ask any editor-in-chief or white-collar news anchor, and they'll give you the standard line. We're just reporting the news. We're neutral. We inform. We don't influence. But if that is true, why is it that the exact same act, say, firing a rocket or invading a territory, is described in two completely different ways depending on who did it? Why is it that resistance is a noble struggle in Ukraine, for example, but in Gaza, it's an act of terrorism? Why is it when a white Westerner kills, headlines are always searching for motives, talking about mental health, giving us a backstory? But when a brown Muslim kills, the word terrorist is already printed before the facts are known. You see, you don't need to drop bombs to shape a battlefield. You just have to control the narrative. You just have to decide what counts as terror and what doesn't. Spoiler, it's never Western. What counts as a life and what doesn't. Hint, some lives get obituaries, others get numbers. And what counts as self-defense? Only when the West or its allies strike first. And what can never be self-defense, especially if it's coming from those labeled enemies. This isn't just hypocrisy, it is precision propaganda. It is the weaponization of vocabulary in service of empire.